Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
That's right, everyone. It's 3-12-1. We're back. We missed a week, but we come roaring back here because coffee's for closers only. It's Tim. It's OGR Sports. We're talking everything Giants, at least for an hour. But you know what? It's always a party when OGR is here.
Is it a party too?
It's a party.
Are you sure?
It's always a party.
Like graduation where everybody only wants to be there for a short while and then leave.
There ain't no party like a Giants party because the Giants party don't stop. You don't know these things? You don't know these things? There's a lot going on. OTAs are over. We now are going to be heading into mandatory minicamp. OTAs, biggest waste of time ever. But we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk.
Conditioning is a thing, Tim.
Conditioning is a thing, but you are a professional athlete. So you should be conditioning all year because it's your job.
You're right, but not all of them do, and that's the problem. And that's why we need OTA.
People don't understand. When I do these shows, I'm practicing my melodious voice every moment of the day so I can refine myself. So when I come on here and do things, people will be like, that's John Facenda. Lombardi. A certain magic still lingers in the name. But we're not going to talk about me because I'm awesome. I want to talk about CBS Sports. I want to talk about the 33rd man. I think it's the 33rd team. I don't know what they are, but CBS Sports came out and said that the Giants offense basically ranks about 28th in the NFL. And 33rd man or 33rd Sports, I don't know what the hell they're called. I don't know what they are exactly. But they come out and say that the Giants offense ranks dead last. And evidently someone's at my door because the dogs are going crazy. Or maybe they're just mad at CBS Sports.
I would say they're mad at CBS Sports. Maybe Josina Anderson's at your door because I actually do have a bone to pick with CBS Sports.
See, I knew it.
Anderson's reporting.
I knew it.
I don't know if you saw obviously she moved from ESPN to CBS Sports and they have them reporting on the Giants. She's like, I haven't been here since 2018. Things have changed. No duh, Josina.
I have no idea who she is or if that's a she.
Yes, Josina Anderson is a she, and she does reporting for CBS Sports.
Okay, so she evidently doesn't like the Giants?
Well, she's the one that did that. Remember the controversial interview with Odell Beckham?
Yes.
You had Josina Anderson was the one doing the interview, and then you had Lil Wayne.
Right. I remember that. I remember Lil Wayne.
So Josina Anderson's the one doing the interview.
Okay.
And she's moved from ESPN to CBS Sports, and they had her report on the Giants last day at OTAs. And she was terrible. She was terrible. She's like, yeah, and Brian Dable is really getting them ready for their playoff push. I'm like, oh, you have not been following the Giants at all, Justina, have you?
She has not been following the Giants evidently since Odell Beckham. Apparently since then. But I had a problem with the Giants offense being ranked so low. And their juxtaposition of reasoning for a reason why the Giants were ranked so low was because of the fact that they had no true number one, but why they had potentially talented rookies, they have no offensive firepower. Now my issue was why I'm not in love with Kenny G by any stretch of the imagination, why I never think he's going to live up to the expectations of Baby Megatron that he quoted himself as those 2 seasons when he was in the Dome with Matthew for those 1,000 yards. And he only had one season with 10 touchdowns. My thing is this. I still think he's in the top 25 of wide receivers. I still think Kadarius Toney can give you something. And I still think that Wan'Dale Robinson can be a part of this offense. You still have Saquon Barkley. You still have Darius Slayton. You have serviceable professional tight ends, and you've got Bellinger, who's going to be Travis Kelce, Mark Bavaro, Mike Dick all rolled up into one. So, and yes, Daniel Jones is leading the band, but if you watch what they're doing in camp, it looks like it's going to be a hybrid of the Buffalo offense and the Kansas City offense, short drops, quick passes, which is perfect for him because it limits his abilities to make mistakes. And I keep thinking, especially CBS Sports, that it's still the media bias because of the fact that we beat Tom Brady twice. Because people say, I have never have anything good to say about the Giants. CBS Sports is twice as bad. What are your thoughts of Giants rank in this 33rd team? I don't even know what the hell they are. I don't know if they're a website. I don't know if they're, I don't know what they are. But they rank the Giants dead last. What is your thoughts about the Giants offense? Are they going to be this putrid? Because I say no.
I don't think they're going to be in lockstep come the season. I think they're going to start off very poorly.
I agree.
I still think it's going to be a struggle for the first 4 or 5 weeks for the Giants to average 21 points, to be totally honest with you. And that would be very close to the dead last offense in the NFL if we're going to go based off of points. So I'm not telling you CBS is right, but they have a reason to be, negative on the Giants. What have the Giants done, especially offensively, the last 3 years, where you're like, okay, we can be at least middle of the pack?
But here's the thing.
You want to argue that we have the weapons and the personnel to do so. I'll agree with you 100%.
But here's the thing. It's 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019 mean nothing. It's about what their Giants are instituting and planning now, not what they planned 3 years ago. I look at just the talent on the roster. And like I said, I am not 100% sold on Mr. Robinson. Here's to you, Mr. Robinson. But I think if he could be used as a Percy Harvin-esque player, not a Tyreek Hill, but a Percy Harvin type player, before he went to Minnesota. And I think you could find a spot and you could create a matchup for Kadarius. And I've said this before. I'm not shocked if Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney, and Saquon Barkley are all in the backfield at the same time. It would be a nightmare to figure out who to cover. And
run the wishbone?
You might. Why not?
No, I'm throwing it out.
They why not? I mean, exactly. Why not? I actually did a video about running the wishbone. Why not? Because Kadarius was a former quarterback. Daniel Jones was a former quarterback. Hey, sorry, but why not? I mean, so I can.
Daniel Jones is an athlete.
He's an athlete. Oh, great. I'm an athlete too. What the hell does that mean? But you know what? Listen, I can still throw the ball 40 yards. And anyone that doubts my veracity, August 21st, I will be at the Giant game. I have to talk to you about that. But I will be at the Giant game, preseason game, August 21st, I believe it is, or August 16th. I don't know what day it is. But I will be there, and I will go to the parking lot, and I will throw the ball 40 yards. Someone can mark off 40 yards, and I will throw the ball 40 yards.
All right.
But does that make me an NFL quarterback?
Yes.
Oh, all right then. All right then. I'm not talking to you anymore. I need someone that's more of my stature. But like I said, I can't see them being that. I just don't see it being that putrid. Because I think Dable is smart enough, and I'm not giving Kafka credit yet because Kafka hasn't done that, but I think Dable is smart enough to know what he has. Giant fans want to talk about Daniel Jones being Josh Allen. I think Dable understands he's not Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's not a Josh Allen. Absolutely. But to me, I'm cautiously optimistic because, I have nothing. I've told you this before. I have nothing to hang my hat on. Right. And maybe I'm sounding more negative than the online Big Blue Sports. But, yeah, because what do I have to hang a hat on? We've been consistently inconsistent. And, yeah, to you, 2021 doesn't matter. 22, 23.
Don't matter. Yesterday doesn't matter. Yesterday's over. It is now today. And today will soon not be tomorrow.
You're right. But you need consistency to be good. And if it's going to take 4 to 5 weeks to get there, what if they're delayed on that consistency? What if what Dable plans doesn't all come together?
Here's my thing. If they rank 32nd, let's say after 5 weeks, it does not mean that's where they're going to end up. No,
you're absolutely right. And that was going to be my caveat. I think they will be toward the bottom of the league for the first couple weeks, and I want to see that stride and whatnot and those big gains toward the end of the season. And that's where I'm hoping we can prove CBS wrong.
We will prove CBS wrong. We are going to be ranked 22nd. I'm not saying we're going to be in the top 10. I'm not saying we're going to be in the top 15, but I have a feeling we're going to be no lower than 20. I mean, no worse than 20.
Tim, we will revisit this.
Well, we will.
Let's see where you are.
We will.
Wait.
We will.
I can't wait.
Because everyone that knows this about me, I'm never wrong.
Start audio.
Oh, yeah. Just kidding. I'm never wrong. You know this. You know this. Get with the program.
Oh, and by the way, real quick. Here's to you, Mr. Robinson. Definitely has to be a soundbite when we're talking about.
Oh, it's already in the works. People think these sound bites that I create for my online Big Blue channel, which I will now be creating for 312-1, just happen overnight. No. These takes time to build. These take time to actually create and maturate in my brain. Actually, they take like 5 seconds. I'm just lazy.
Isn't it Mrs. Robinson?
Yes, but that's why I call it Mr. Robinson, because it's Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Robinson.
Well, he's Mrs. until he proves that he's
No. Not going to be like that. Come on. Why does that button say 2?
Hear ye, come one, come all, for it's the king of the covered sack.
See, that took me like a minute and a half.
I don't believe it.
I know, it's shocking. All right, I want to also, we're going to get off the subject, because you know what? I want to talk about Vegas. Vegas. I told OGR that I want to talk about Vegas this show, and he goes, what do you want to talk about Vegas for? Because I like Vegas. Don't look like a guy that would like Vegas. I love Vegas. Been there way too many times. Vegas initially had the Giants at 7 wins. The Giants...
I took the under.
I would too. The Giants stratosphere all of a sudden used that as a talking point to prove things to me and say, because I always say I follow the Vegas line, because Vegas takes passion out of everything because their job is to make money. And I said the Giants would win maybe 5 games. I said I guarantee the Vegas is going to say the same thing. When they came out with 7, I had to hear repeatedly how I was wrong. But I kept telling people it's the early line. It could drop down to 4 after training camp. It could go back up to 6. But I said it's going to be 5. And of course, now the Vegas odds comes out. It's Giants 5 wins. Now I've said this before.
Isn't it 5.5?
Yes, it is 5.5. Technically, yes. For betting people, yes, it's 5.5. For like non-betting people, I'd just say 5, because then you're going to get, well, how do you win a half a game? So I just.
Well, I'm sorry if you don't know about sports betting and why they put the half in there. I'm sorry, you're borderline a dumbass. I mean, that's what it is.
What if you're 9?
What if you're 9 years old?
What if you're 9 years old?
Why are you sports betting?
You're not.
Why are you sports betting at 9?
well, maybe they got a problem. I don't know. But maybe. What if you're 9?
Well, if you're a kid, I apologize for the harsh language.
Okay, thank you.
And you know what? If you're 9, you have a reason to be. You
have a reason to be a dumbass? Is that what your theory is? Okay.
Yes. There you go.
Okay, I can't wait to see the kids in the OGR house. I think 5 is I don't think it's a bad number. Now, I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's too low. It's too terrible. It's nothing. It's 5." I think for a team that won 4 games last year, with a new head coach, with a new offense coordinator, with a new team, with a new not a new quarterback yet. That'll be after week 3. But I think that I think 5 honestly is a quality number for this team right now.
Absolutely.
What do you think? What do you think will change that for this team?
What do I think will change that?
Right.
Is if we win a couple games in a row, or we get a couple.
No, I mean I should rephrase it. What do you think will change that before the start of the season? Because you know what, you're going to bet before. If you're a betting person, you're going to bet before the start of the season.
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you, going into week 1? What do you think the total should be, and what do you think it could potentially be?
I think the total can jump back up to 7.5. I don't think it's going to be anything over. If the Giants have like
that's a big line.
That is. I'm giving you the Giants, 2.5 games there, or 2 games.
Yeah.
The reason I am is because if they have like they come out like gangbusters and preseason, and they're blowing out all their preseason competition. They look ready, rested, and ready to go into the season, where it doesn't look like the Giants will have any setbacks. Right. Now, me and you both know that's a jump, but Vegas line makers may say, "Oh, okay, this team's looking good, even though it's the preseason. If we leave it under 5.5 and this team starts out strong, we might be eating our lunch."
Right.
And for all the Giants fans that say that, hey, 5.5 or 5, it's too little. Well, take $1,000.
That's what she said.
Online betting. Chances are where you're going. Chances are online betting is legal in your state.
Right. Put
your money on it. And then you can message Tim or, his email it to him. He'll give you an email and you can show me all the one bet slips at the end of last
Tim at
year.
onlineBigBlue.com.
None of you will do it with the over 5.5.
Tim at onlineBigBlue.com.
Yes.
I want to tell a story.
Is it story time?
It's story time, children. It's story
Take
time.
some pies. Take some pies.
Hercules. Tell me what that movie's from. Yeah, they probably shouldn't have done that movie. 2007, it was. I'm in Vegas before the Giants season kicked off. And the odds for the Giants winning the Super Bowl at that year, I believe at that point in time were like 125 to 1.
I'm going to stop you right there. Did you put the mortgage on it?
Didn't put the mortgage on it, no. But I took $100 and laid it down. I laid it on it. I'll take 125. I'll take 125 to 1. Took $100. Put it down. Let's put it this way. Online Big Blue was happy.
I bet.
Online Big Blue was happy. Was not a sad man. What made me sad? What made me cry? What made me cringe is what you just said a moment ago. That's why I thought about this, because I've been kicking myself for X amount of years. I should have dropped $1,000 on that bet instead of $100.
And by the way,
do you want to hear the worst? Wait, do you want to hear the worst part of the story?
I do want to put this disclaimer in there because this will be going up on YouTube. We are not giving you any sports betting advice.
Right, exactly. But especially not for 2007. But you want to know what the worst part of this entire story was?
What?
To get my winnings. Where do you think I had to go? Because it's 2007.
Oh, you have to go back to Vegas.
I had to fly back to Vegas. So what was even worse is I had to buy a ticket to go cash in my ticket.
I know you have to go buy a ticket to cash in your ticket, but how much of that winnings, basically did you draw even on the flight back?
Oh, on the flight back? Oh, there was really not much money left on the flight back.
No. But I'm saying, how much did you win, and how much was the ticket, and how much did you got to?
I'm putting it this way. Let's put it this way: the ticket was like $375, and I stayed 4 nights.
Oh, even when you cashed in, you stayed 4 nights.
Yes,
that doesn't sound good. I am thinking Tim went to the craps table. So that's my theory on this.
I went to blackjack. I went to the blackjack table.
Oh, Tim.
Well, let's put it this way: the trip probably was not. The trip probably was not worth it. I probably should have just got it, cashed it, and flew out the same day.
I would have stayed 1 night, but I wouldn't have been gambling. I would have had myself a nice steak dinner.
Well, I had a nice steak dinner. I had a very nice steak dinner. And it was funny though, because I stayed at Caesars, and I'm not a big fan of Caesars. I think Caesars is kind of. I think Caesars is kind of crappy. And I ended up at the Luxor, which
dude, that's my favorite.
Which was great. Which was fantastic. They gave me
back then it's probably newer. It was
newer. Yes, it was not like it was, and it was great though because there's a mall not too far from the Luxor, and there's a burger shop in there, and it's like world famous for its burgers. So one thing I love is hamburgers. So I got my hamburger, I got a stack full of cash, which turned into a stack full of chips, which turned them into a hamburger. So let's. But I will say this, my friends and I, we had a wonderful time. Wonderful time, Vegas. But I don't want to talk about Vegas anymore. I want to talk about the ends of the OTAs. Organized Team Activities. I love OTAs. I just love that name. Because you ask people, what is an OTA? They're like, it's like training camp. No, it's Organized Team Activities. They ended after 9 days. They ended mercifully. And I've said this before, the Giants media, again, the Giants media, in-house media, controlled the narrative through almost every single day except for the last couple days. They controlled it till like Thursday of each week of the OTAs. So you never really got the full reports. But was there anything, and I know you follow this a lot, was there anything in the OTAs that stood out to you, that made you stop and pause, that made you excited, that made you maybe concerned? Or is it just a bunch of bunch of OTAs.
I want to let people know where I got most of my OTA information. Besides, following, on, I get it directly from the Giants, but I also got it from Online Big Blue Sports.
Oh, I hear that guy's great.
He is fantastic.
I hear he's so awesome. I hear he throws the ball 40 yards, and he's going to be showing that in August.
Jesus. I believe it, though.
I am going to tell you.
If I can throw 20, he can throw 40.
I'm going to tell you this. At the end of the game, at the end of the Bengals game, because tickets I have are in the coaches club. So at the end of the Bengals game, they let you go on the field. So what I'm going to do is I am going to stand on the 40-yard line, the home 40, and I'm going to throw it to the end zone.
Is there going to be somebody there to catch it?
Either you or James or someone's going to be there to catch it.
What happens if we don't catch it?
I'll be pissed. But I'm telling you, stay till the end of the game. I will videotape this. Stay till the end of the game. And you could just come down to the first row of the stadium, go on the home side bench, because that's where the coaches club is, and watch Online Big Blue throw the ball 40 yards. On a rope.
On a rope.
On a rope.
So now, me or James, do we have to be parked at the goal line?
Well, one has to film it, and the other one's got to catch it. So that's all I'm going to say. But was there anything on these OTAs that stood out to you in any regards that either gave you a moment of, this could be something, or did you just not care?
Part of me didn't care.
Okay.
It's OTAs.
That's honest.
But the other part of me is Daniel Jones was made to shine, even though it didn't sound like he shined.
Okay.
Even through Giants media, tip passes, intercept passes. There was an either intercept, tipped, or multiple interceptions or multiple tips every day. Every day I listened to you, it was Daniel Jones. There was something wrong.
But but here's the thing. Only a couple times did they ever tell you who the quarterback was that threw the interception or had the tip pass. The one I remember was the tip pass to Darius Slayton that got tipped, and Darius came down with the catch, and it was like a big play. It was a big yardage play. But they never really told you. The Giant media did. The only time you ever heard about it is when when the Giant in-house media told you about it. That's when you knew about it. They didn't really ever tell you. They never told you if it was Davis Webb. They never told you it was Tyrod Taylor. They never told you if it was Daniel Jones. They'll just say that, Darnay Holmes had 3 interceptions. Not Darnay Holmes, I'm just saying. But at one point, Xavier McKinney had 2 interceptions, but they never told you who was throwing the ball. So we don't know if it was Daniel Jones.
No, we don't. But I'm going to make, some of it, maybe a lot of it could have been Davis Webb. But I'm just correlating.
It's all Davis Webb.
Brian Dable said, I'm going to let Daniel Jones fly.
Right.
And what is Daniel Jones, large part of Daniel Jones?
Turnovers.
Letting him fly?
Turnovers.
Well, go back to his rookie season and you tell me.
Turnovers.
So that's where I'm getting at with that. As far as everyone else, I can't speak to everyone else. I mean, yes, Mr. Bellinger didn't ever drop a pass ever.
Nope, never. Not once. Not once did he drop a ball.
And what's disappointing is because they're so high on Bellinger, you're becoming lower on Bellinger. And we both liked him, and we were both excited. And I know you're tired of hearing about it, but don't let the Giants in-house media sour you on Bellinger.
I have to admit, I will admit this. I do now kind of have a problem with Bellinger. I kind of do. And the worst thing is it has nothing to do with his talent. It has nothing to do with his draft status. It has nothing to do with him as a man. It has nothing to do with him as a player. It's just you're hyping him ad nauseum. And a subscriber, and it's a great subscriber, I just can't think of the subscriber's name, to my Online Big Blue channel, said to me, would you feel better if the Giants actually told you the truth about what's going on, about the bad, so that just makes the good look better? And I was like, that's a kind of a very astute point. It's very astute, because if you can't always have nothing's besides me. Nothing's always good. That's just the way it is. So there has to be some bad mixed in there. And sometimes when you show the bad, you take the good, you take the bad, you take it home. There you have the facts of life. It looks better. And that's the only reason why I'm not, like I said, I'm not soured on him as a player. I'm soured on him to the fact because I'm tired of hearing about it, because I'm going to tell you right now, the first time he drops a third down pass in a game, he is going to get ripped.
Well, yeah, of course he's going to get ripped. Hopefully not by you, because
No.
I see you doing that. But
I don't. You know what? You make a mistake in a game, because here's my thing. People that this, I'm going to rant a second here. I'm going to rant a second here. I'm going to sit up for this one. Here's my thing. If you've never played the sport, those are usually the people that rip you, because of the rip players, because of the fact that they don't understand. You may catch something 100 out of 100 times in practice, but there is nothing that's the substitute for game experience. There are plenty of guys that are practice warriors, but they are not there on Sunday. And there are plenty of guys who are rookies will drop a pass, will make a mistake. There was a guy just last year in Cincinnati who dropped everything. First round pick. Dropped everything. There was talk in Cincinnati that he was a failure. It's like, well, wait a minute. None of these catches count in preseason. None of these catches count in training camp. It's not till you put it on Sunday and you kick it off. When it's for real, does it count? And what did he do last year? What did he become? Became one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. The Bengals do not go to the Super Bowl without him. Now, the people that never played the game will sit there and tell you everything should be easy. You should never miss a tackle. You should never drop a ball. You should never miss a block. Shit happens.
Absolutely.
And that's what pisses me off, because it's true. All these guys that are hyping Bellinger right now, as soon as he drops a couple balls, because he will, especially early on, I'm telling you right now, he'll drop some passes the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. These are going to be the same guys that are going to rip him. And I will still be there saying, I still want to see what this kid is. I'm going to take the drops away and wait to see, because that's what the sport is. It's about the longevity of the season, the longevity of the game, not just about what you see in the highlights or what you think you should do. Because the fact that unless you've ever played the game, you sat on that field, you know how difficult it is to excel when you got 11 other guys on the other side trying to wreck you or trying to wreck your career.
Not even that. Try coaching it.
Yeah.
Because I do. And yeah, it might be just flag. It might just be, the entry level into Pop Warner, but still, it's still the same thing. The play is never going to be run the exact way you draw it up.
Yep.
Especially with kids, younger. You have to get used to people's failures, and you just got to swallow it and figure, what can I do with this personnel? And what can I do collectively? What can I teach collectively to help them be better players?
Yep.
Because it's not all about winning. I as much as I'd love to win every game, usually, we keep track of score. There's a winner, there's a loser. But there's no real playoffs.
Right.
So you're just trying to get these kids to be better at the game of football and better as people. So that kind of ties into what you were doing a little bit. But yeah. The other thing is, I don't like the fact that the Giants in-house media, more so than ever in my history that I remember, and maybe you can speak to this as well, they seem to be controlling the narrative more than ever before.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm not used to them doing this. Is that a cognizant effort by Dable and Shane? Or is it the Giants are like, we're tired of the negative connotation around this team? Is this from Mara? Okay, well, if I'm going to lose control of the team or give more control to Shane, well, I'm going to start going into the media space and I'm going to take control of it. And maybe he's just trying to, spin it positively, because the longer you wait for the Wolves, keep the Wolves at bay, the more rabid they're going to become once things are opened up.
Yep.
He's got to realize that holding the Wolves at bay is not going to do it. The only time the Wolves are going to go with you is when you are a winning team. You're not going to be a winning team. We're not going to make the playoffs, most likely, unless the teams in our division have really poor years. And, toward the end of the season, maybe we've overachieved. We have 7-8 wins, and then we somehow skimp into the playoffs.
Yep.
Winning our division. But other than that, it's just not reality. It's not going to happen. And that's my biggest concern. That's my biggest takeaway from this. I don't like the fact that the Giants media is spinning everything so positive, because when the New York media comes in and starts reporting on this stuff for real, man, oh man, they are going to be circling the wagons.
I was going to say, do you think the New York media will have any animosity towards the Giants media? I mean, towards the Giants in-house media during the season because of what they're kind of doing to control this narrative?
Oh, absolutely. Because the New York media is going to be looking to make the Giants media look bad.
Yep.
And, you're going to have a little bit of a clash. I mean, not all, because if you do listen to their daily podcast, John Schmelk and those boys, they bring on New York media personnel onto the show. So they do have ties, but I just think for the people that, aren't the most friendly, they're going to be circling the wagons, and it's not going to look good.
I'm going to tell another story, kiddies. When I was with Tampa in 2003, it was the year after the Super Bowl where they went 12-4. They went 7-9. And I was also there in 2004 when they went 5-11. And we all kind of they cleaned house a little bit in 2005 because of the fact that everything that was going on. And I will tell you this, and this was coming 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, and I will tell you this, the in-house media, after 2 bad seasons with Gruden, did try to control the narrative a little bit. Now, luckily, they went 5-11 the next year. But I always tell the story because I had friends that still work there. The following year after that 5-11 season, after they controlled the media spin, they went 4-12. And I'm going to tell you right now, the press in Tampa, you almost could tell like they almost had like an axe to grind with Gruden and the team after what happened the year prior. So I kind of get concerned about that when I see, because sometimes you could say going back to the 80s with Dick Young and some other guys, sometimes the Giant media was never, or the beat writers were never, I never thought they were fair to the team. And I get worried that with this generation that they seem more reactionary, that they may be less fair if they feel like they're being shut out. Because I have a feeling that I think they're going to circle. I think the Giants will circle the wagons if they go like 0-6, and there will be limited media access. That's just my thought.
I hope that's not the case, because it is what it is. I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall right now in that organization, and you just listen to the conversations on what they think is going to happen during this season, behind closed doors, not what they're telling the players, not what they're telling the media. What Brian Dable, Joe Shane, and the Maras, what they think right now.
See, outside of the Maras, I think Dable and Shane have been pretty honest. They have come out since day one, and Shane even said the cupboard's bare. This is a bad team. This is a bad roster. This was worse than we were when we were first there in Buffalo. That the talent's not there, that this is going to be a rebuild. Even when he made the moves like the James Bradbury move, like when he made that move, or we made the Logan Ryan move. And even Dable has come out multitudes of time and said that this is going to be a process. This is going to take time. This isn't just going to happen overnight. So I've always said this before about these two guys. I think personally, they are finally someone within the Giant organization that is setting realistic expectations. And I think that's coming from your general manager and your coaching staff. Now, what Mara and them are saying, I don't know.
But here's the thing, you still have the fans with, not a lot between the ears on the Twitter sphere thinking 12 or 11 wins is possible.
You're supposed to stay off Twitter.
I say that to you all the time.
If I'm not allowed to go on Twitter, you're not allowed to go on Twitter.
I'm not allowed to go on. I go on Twitter. But I'm the silent minority. You know what? Say what you want to say, Kitty, because your life is going to take a dark turn.
Listen,
come November.
if you're on the internet, just go watch porn. Okay, call it. Make it easy. Just watch porn. You'll be good. So there's nothing out of the OTAs like that sparked your interest.
Nothing sparked my interest because what am I supposed to take away? Seriously,
Right? I don't disagree.
it is activities. Okay, it's camp. When I was a kid, we had activities to do. Okay, that's what it is. It's organized activities. That can mean watching film as a group. That could be let's jog as a group. That could be let's slap high five and build some bonding as a group. It doesn't always just mean, 11 on 11, the pads are on, let's go. Guys are wearing red jerseys during drills. Like, come on.
Every time I hear high five and slapping hands, I just think of I was watching The Waterboy the other day.
Great movie.
I was watching The Waterboy, and I love it because at one point Bobby Boucher is going, hand slap, slap my hand slap. But every time now I hear that. I was never a high five guy.
I'm a high five guy for my kids.
Well, yeah, if you have a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds, yeah, you could be a high five guy. But I've never been because I always had people like high five. I told one person got mad at me because they went high five, and I went, I don't do that. I just told him I don't do that. I'm sorry.
You know what? It's kind of funny, but like if there's if I'm at a live sporting event, and this has happened to me multiple times, and the team's winning or they just like a big play came back. I always am the person. I don't know why I have that face, but it will be a random dude, and he's ready to slam that high five. I'm like, fine, okay. So I'm slapping high fives with random people.
So OTAs are over. So now
that just made you cringe, didn't it?
That just made me cringe. It just made me cringe a little bit. The OTAs are over. We're now heading into mandatory minicamp. Now, I'd like to give some guidelines to mandatory minicamp because I think some people have a misconception. You don't run with pads on mandatory minicamp. There's no contact allowed in mandatory minicamp. You actually have less on practice time, on field time in mandatory minicamp. It's just, to me, the biggest difference between OTAs and mandatory minicamp is the word in the front. Mandatory. That's really the biggest difference. The whole team needs to be there because they usually start installing and handing out, what they're going to be doing. They give them their iPads and they usually start working on the playbooks that way more. Yeah. But that's what they do. I mean, because I love when people are like, wow, I'm so pumped up for mandatory minicamp. They're actually going to be on the field less because of the CBA.
Honestly, as a Giants fan, a diehard Giants fan, I don't care until pads are on. I don't. Because that's when football's football.
You know what kills me about training camp now? And you might know this. I know this because I'm an idiot, but I know this. What day do you think you are allowed to put on the pads during minicamp? I'm not going to be during training camp. What day? What day do you think is the first day?
What day of the week?
No, just what day? You have, let's say training camp is 1 through 90 days. It's not 1 through 90, huh?
They only have like 4 or 5 padded practices.
Yes, but what day do you think you're allowed to put on the pads?
Wednesday.
No, but like what day? 1, 7, 8, 10, 12, 6, 4?
Probably not till later in minicamp. I'd probably
not minicamp, training camp.
Training camp. Probably day 11.
Day 5.
Day 5.
You don't put the pads on until day 5. I remember going to Parcells minicamps and watching these guys beat the bejesus out of each other day 1. I don't want to get into this too much because I got a video about this tomorrow. But I am curious to ask you this question. I'm old school. Probably as old as you get. I'm my first training camp that I remember going to would be in 1983. That would be the first training camp, and then I would go up to Troy, New York, when they were up that way, and spend like a week there. Very nice Marriott, still Courtyard by Marriott, still there, and watch for mini camps. I did that for years, and until they moved the mini camps. I mean, training camps around and everything, but I remember I remember the morning practices. I remember the afternoon practices. I remember working in Tampa, having a morning session and an afternoon session. Full contact, full pads. I don't remember as many injuries as I see now, that we are limiting these padded practices, that we are limiting the physical exertion and activity. And I spoke to a person that does my orthopedist. I was talking to him yesterday. I was emailing him back and forth, asking the same question. I said, do you, and I don't want to give away my answer, but I'm curious on your answer. Do you think there's any correlation between the lack of physical contact in training camp, in the OTA, well, OTAs, they never had it, but in training camp, that are being a hindrance to these players and causing more injuries than in previous time? Because like I said, I remember 2-a-days, man. I remember once Gruden had 3-a-days because the team looked terrible. But I don't see the injuries. I remember Warren Sapp, gassed, hands on his knees at 4:30 in the afternoon after running a full session in pads with contact. And I never saw him miss a game the years I was there. And I was there towards the end of his career in Tampa. So I'm just curious, do you think there's any direct correlation between lack of physical contact and injuries that more and more injuries that we are seeing during the season?
For me, I can speak to myself, what I've gone through, because what I do is semi-physical, working in construction. Go pick up the 4-inch rigid. Okay, it's 110 pounds. You can't do that as an apprentice. You're not going to make it.
Right.
So you better get muscle. But anyways, anytime I've ever injured my back, it's because I have work. If I'm working throughout the day, I can go from task to task to task. It's when I stop and I cool down.
Right.
And I see it all the time. I think back to old school Giants, 2-a-days, Parcells. Guys are constantly moving. You're hustling from drill to drill to drill. You're running drill constantly. You have your warm up. They get it organized. You probably know what you're going to do throughout the day. Maybe you break off into groups, maybe just offensive line, defensive line, whatever. But you know what you're going to be doing, and you're going from drill to drill to drill. You're not stopping.
Right.
Now, what you're doing, instead of having these guys and their bodies can take it and they can do it, because we're all about safety. You got these guys stopping, cooling down, and then ramping up again. And that's my biggest thing is you cannot let your muscles cool down. Once your muscles get going, it's about staying hydrated, drinking water, plenty of water, Gatorade, whatever, keep yourself hydrated, and you can keep going. You can keep going. You can keep going. And because of, guys not saying anything when they're, getting to the point of heat exhaustion, that's why all these other rules have come in. That's the biggest thing is heat exhaustion and heart failure.
Right.
But you can keep going. These guys did it. There was plenty of NFL players, 2,000 NFL players that make it through a minicamp. I've more injuries have happened, later in my life as far as watching Giants players because of this. Stop, cool down. You're not going. I think if you were going, you would see far less muscle injuries. It's because they're stopping, they're cooling down. That's my biggest thing is. And you don't have that contact and that repetition, and your body's used to taking it. That's just a lot to speak for that.
I remember back when the Giants were at Pace University. This was, I think it was in '85. This was after the '84 season when they turned everything around at 9-7 after going 3-12-1. And I remember the '85. I remember the '85 training camp because I remember it was to me, it seemed to be a particularly grueling training camp. It seemed to just be one of those things that Parcells was trying to make a point. After going 3-12-1, 9-7, he was making a point with his team because I think he knew he had a championship team, and he had veterans on that team like Harry Carson, of course, and Lawrence Taylor and George Martin. I mean, so he had older guys. Well, I shouldn't say Taylor wasn't older. He was like in his third year, but these are the guys that went through these 2-a-days. And I remember them coming off the practice field once at 7:30 at night. And I said to my father, I said, there's no, because we were going to come back early the next morning. I said, there's no way coming through this late that they are going to get up and go back the next morning at their regular time. We went there about 8:30. Sure as shit. 8:45. Full pads. Team came out on the field. And I don't really remember massive amounts of injuries in 85. And to your point, I think it's a part of not just the stopping and starting, but I think it's a part of conditioning.
Yep.
Conditioning your body. I used to hate summer workouts, summer camp, summer in football. You a lot of times you did summer program. I used to hate it because first of all, you're a kid. You want to go run around the pool. You want to put on pads and kill yourself. But it helped you as you got closer to the start of the season that your body was ready for what you were going to have to do. I remember in 86, I remember being in a practice in November in the Meadowlands, because back then the Giants practiced in the Meadowlands. And they always practiced in full pads, full contact. And I remember before the second Washington games that they seemed to Parcells just seemed to, it seemed like he was going to, the old expression, you don't want to leave it all out on the field. But it seemed like it seemed like what he was doing. But it wasn't. It was just the fact that he was preparing his team for the physicalness of playing against that Washington offensive line. And I think in some ways that's what we're missing nowadays.
And not only that, if you're going to practice, why wouldn't you recreate
game situations
these players are going to be doing in game situations? Well, tell me, what's the point of running a jog through at half speed, getting ready for a game when you know it's going to be twice as fast?
Yep. I don't know if they do this in college now, because I was back in the Stone Age when we wore leather helmets. But you used to have something to refer to, and they still have it. They called the scout team. And the scout team was below third string, and their job was to recreate the offense or the defense of the other team, and you would run full speed, full contact to help prepare the team for the next opponent. And I always thought it was interesting because of the fact that if you ever watched the movie Rudy, because there's a little bit of honesty in that movie, they basically have said a million times, the scout team was just there for the starters to beat on, because there was going to be no substitute for that experience of actually going through what you may see on Saturday or what you may see on Sunday.
And that's my thing. Like what you're a professional athlete. What do you think you're above working hard? Like, I don't get it. To me, if I'm doing something, I want to be prepared. Anytime, I get foremen that get mad at me because you asked me to go do something and I fully understand it. But I walk through every process that I'm going to do first before I ever do it. The guy's like, oh, you're not working. No, because I'm dealing with something. If I don't get it right and I don't get it the first time, I could kill somebody.
Right. Oh, yeah, especially in your job.
Yeah. So as an electrician, I could kill somebody, especially when you're dealing with 277, 480. So I walk through and I make sure everything, I have everything that I want to do. Whatever my job, however long it's going to take me, I have it all worked out in my brain. And guys hate that about me.
Right.
Because I'm meticulous and they don't like it. And I'll question, like foremen do not like me because I will sit there and I will question you and question you and question you. Because we could kill somebody. I'm not going to F around. Have I worked on live power? Yes. Have I done other stuff? Yes. But even then, I'm the one doing it. I'm the one handling it because I feel most comfortable with myself.
Right.
That's what she said.
Sorry. People hate me. People hate me for a different reason. Because I'm so damn sexy.
Oh, damn it.
One of my favorite lines of my favorite movie is, and I'm going to just throw it out there so maybe someone can leave it in the comment. Chicks dig me because I rarely wear underwear. So you'll have to go find that movie. We're closing in on the 1 hour mark. And of course, everyone knows what time that is when we are closing on the 1 hour mark.
Did you order the code red?
Oh,
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did.
It's that moment with OGR. A moment with OGR.
So a lot of it, the last couple ones, I've done a lot of retrospect stuff.
Okay.
And this one, I'm not. And this one is going to be based on football.
Oh, okay.
And
I like that.
I'm looking to get a little bit of advice because I'm going to start coaching 7 and 8 U tackle. And I know the head coach is not the most well-rounded individual when it comes to football. He's doing it because the son's playing, and we need volunteers. So my question to you, Tim, is if you were going to tackle kids, if you were going to coach tackle football for children, I mean, obviously safety is an issue, but beyond safety, what fundamentals are you trying to instill in these kids?
Don't lead with your head.
That's a given.
No, that's not a given. Because there is a difference between leading with your head and leading with your shoulder.
As far as I'm definitely going to coach that is what I'm trying to say.
First thing is you always tell them you lead because people will say, well, people will tell you when you lead with your shoulder and you see them leading with their head, they'll be like, well, I am leading with my shoulder. No. There's a difference between leading with your head and leading with your shoulder. And also the thing is, remember to wrap up. That's another thing because a lot of people do, and you see it in the NFL, they do the bump chest. And try to knock guys. I was taught stay low, lead with your shoulder, wrap up, drive with your legs. That was the first thing that I was taught going back to Pop Warner. And I think that was and I know a lot of people are sitting there go, well, Tim, that's so easy. No, it's not. Because if you watch the way tackling is now, it's not. It's not easy. I remember, and I never got to play with them, but I remember a guy named Larry Stations. He was a linebacker out of Iowa. He was a short guy, very short guy. I think he was like 5'10", 5'8", or something like that. But he was probably one of the most proficient college tacklers that I'd ever seen. And this is going back to the 80s. And I remember talking to him one day, and he said the same thing. He goes, you know what it is? You know what I remember from day one being taught? Lead with your shoulder, wrap up the ball carrier, drive with your legs, and let the momentum carry you. And I thought that was funny, though, because you look at people now, you don't see them doing that. How many outside of Blake Martinez, how many, I like to call them peekaboo tacklers. And what they do is they kind of look and then they kind of use their arms, but they're not using their body and their forward momentum to drive someone. That's what they always tell you, man, drive them into the turf. Now, maybe you don't want to do that with 7 and 8-year-olds. So that's what you were taught in college.
I'm driving the turf. I mean, because you're looking to wrap up, and it's almost like an alligator twist where you're looking to drive through, grab, and then wrap up and twist with them. So to carry that, take them off of the momentum that they have going forward and drive them in a different direction.
Like I said, I don't like I've heard that analogy before with the wrapping up and twisting. No. You know what carries you straight and gives you the most power? Forward momentum.
Absolutely.
I always tell people forward momentum is what you need. And like I said, I have seen more people when they try to twist out of a tackler. If someone, and I said this because I never got to teach. I was a graduate assistant 1 year, but I never got to teach. But I went with a friend of mine who was working in PAL League. PAL League also does basketball, but PAL League also does football. It's Police Athletic League. And I got to come in and do a session in reference to tackling. And it was so funny because one of the coaches, after I did it, he came up and he thanked me. He's like, he goes, that was probably one of the most well thought out sessions in reference to how to keep, and they were younger kids. They were probably I think they were older, between 10 and 12. But he said that was the best way I've ever seen someone taught something in regard to tackling and keeping them safe. Because of the fact that, like I said, there is, and I'm not, I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying, like I said, there. It hasn't even started. Oh, I know, but I'm just saying there is a certain technique, and I'll have to find the link because I actually have a link to it. I think I still have the link where it literally does teach you how to tackle and drive with your shoulder. Because this is the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the most important thing. But the problem is and I've seen this in a lot of youth league stuff. And I always love it because, especially with the youth league, I still have pictures of me. You got these big ass helmets. You look like Kyler Murray with these little bodies and these big ass helmets. And you always see them down with the crown of their helmet going into the pile. That's not leading with your shoulder. And I tried to explain that to a million coaches that day, that you have to work on technique, and there is a proper technique to do it where you're keeping your players safe and you're allowing them to make the best opportunity to make their tackle. I can go on and on about defensive tackling.
Oh no, and you know what, and that's what I want to do. I mean, that's kind of on my mind. I just wanted to get, your thoughts on it and whatnot. And that was really, form tackling, because besides what I did in Pee Wee for a year or two, because honestly, I was not a big kid. I mean, I'll fully admit to you, growing up, my pituitary gland was like, nah, bro, we're not going to work right today. I don't.
Sorry, dude. We're not going to do that right now.
So I think I've said it on the podcast myself. When I was 16 years old, I was injecting myself with human growth hormone with a pen needle every night, and that's all they would do is just tell me the dosage and how many clicks, 1, 2, 3. I think it was like 3 clicks. So I was Barry Bondsing in high school. I'm
not going to say anything because I will tell you this: when back in my day, it was legal.
But no, it is legal. You're allowed to do it if you actually need it. There's like a.
I'm talking. The other thing was still technically legal.
But and that was the big thing. For me growing up is I wish I was bigger and my pituitary gland done what it did, because now I'm average height of a man, maybe a little bit taller. Right. And that, I'm glad for it. But man, I was like 105 pounds, 4'8" going into.
So you were Dom size.
Yeah, I was Dom size, but not full grown in freshman and high school. So I never really had, there was no way I was going to sign up to go play football. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
I was going to get killed. I mean, I was starting to get killed at the end of Pop Warner. So.
Well, Pop Warner's not easy. But you know what? We're going to end it right there because of the fact that I like to try to keep this under an hour. I find that more people find us more melodious and we don't get as annoying after we hit the 57-minute mark. And again, everyone, this is Tim. This is OGR. Bringing you the best of 312-1. Hoping you have yourself a wonderful day and a wonderful time. And you know what? Training camp's right around the corner. And we just salute you because you know what? At the end of the day, we're all Giant fans and we're all on the same team. Peace out, everyone.